Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's video. My name is Angel DeSantis. If this is your first time with me, I'm a yoga instructor and I make these videos on religious trauma, and I want to draw a lot of awareness to what religious trauma is, how it manifests, and how I healed from it in the hopes that it helps you wherever you are. And if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here a couple of times, be sure to hit like and subscribe. It does help. Um, and this week I wanted to do a video about taking charge of your own healing, because I have a lot of people who will come in the comments and are struggling, and that, first of all, is normal. Life is life is a struggle, and I think life is a struggle any way you cut it. But I think especially when you start in a place where your brain development was actively stunted by abusive religion, then it becomes even more difficult. And there are a lot of different analogies, there's a lot of different therapies to try, but the one thing that really helped me that I want to share is thinking of your life as a book. And when you first enter your life, you come and it's a blank page, it's a blank book, and somebody else is doing the writing. And they're a horrible writer. They're just a shitty writer. They don't know how to write. So the first pages of your book or the first couple of chapters are crap. And there's like violence, there's confusion, nothing lines up, everything is terrible. And at some point, and it's different for everybody, but at some point there's a transition and you begin writing in your book. And your book is your responsibility and you start writing in the pages. But the thing is that nobody teaches you how to write. So as you start writing, you don't know that you're writing and you're still bad at it. And the only thing that you have to go off is what is already written, because that's already the structure of your book. You're handed all the characters. You're handed maybe a drama, maybe a horrible drama, maybe a violent drama, or maybe a really intense story. And that is what you think you have to carry through. And so you begin writing off of what you know and what's already in the book. And that can be the rest of your life, especially if you don't know how to teach yourself to write a different story. And for me, the way that I look at it is I was never even taught to write. I've never been to school. So when I get the book of my life, it's trash. 0 stars, would not recommend. But as I begin to write and I understand, like, wait, I can write a page, I can take control of one little thing in my life, or I can take this character and remove them from the book, then you realize that actually, wait, I can actually start to change how this book goes. And I can decide, like, you know what? No, it's no longer a drama. Now it's like a really beautiful in-depth character study. And at any moment, you can decide to make that switch. And it feels really weird. And also, you still have a shitty couple of first chapters. And there's honestly nothing that you can do about it. But somebody else wrote those. So you don't bear responsibility for the shitty writing at the beginning. But you are writing the book of your life. You are writing the end. And whether you're aware of it or not will translate into whether or not you're writing well. But the thing that gives me comfort with this analogy is that, yes, I was never in charge of the first couple of pages or the first couple of chapters, and the people writing them didn't know how to write. They never took responsibility for their own chapters, and you end up writing in everybody else's book, but you're a terrible writer. You never knew like what goes where. So you're just kind of shitting all over the page and it's terrible. No one is having a good time. But if you're able to understand that you are actually actively writing pages in the book of your life, and there's a way for you to take control of it and to really write the things that mean a lot to you. And for me, the biggest thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to love my main character, which is me. I am the person in the book of my life, and I wasn't in charge of my character development. When I was handed the book, it was terrible premise, terrible writing, terrible characters. But now that I'm writing my own book and I'm in charge of the last part of my life, there's definitely a before and after, and you can tell when I got control of the writing. You can tell when I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to go for, this is what I'm deciding to do, and I'm changing the story. So I'm just going to offer that to you and see if it makes sense that, like, yes, you weren't in charge of the writing in the beginning, and yes, it's a terrible book, and yes, it shouldn't have been written that way. But what are you writing now? What would you like to change? How would you like your character development to go? And sometimes the biggest thing that holds us back is that we are unaware that we are in charge of writing the pages. And so you have the rest of your life. You really do. And especially if you're here, that means you are already looking for your healing. You are already trying to do character development. You are already trying your best to heal what was written in the first couple of chapters. And that's a really, really wonderful thing. And I think once you've written a bit more, you'll be able to look back and be really proud of yourself for taking control of the writing. But at this moment in your life, if you feel really discouraged and you feel like, oh, it's never going to get better, it's too much, I get it. It does feel like too much. And it is unfair that you didn't get to write the first chapters because someone is handing you something that is awfully written. And they say, here's your crap. And like, what are you going to do about it? And there's nothing that you can do. You can't erase any of the pages. And it is unfair. And I think that's important to know, is that yes, it absolutely is unfair and it shouldn't have been written that way. But it is. But because you're in charge now, you get to decide where it goes from here. And sometimes there are certain TV shows that I binge watch, and you can tell when a different director takes over. And you can tell when a different writer takes over. And it's like all shot a certain way, and then in season 3, suddenly it's shot a different way. And it's obvious, but it's still there's some flow through where you still are attached to the characters, you still care about it. It's just shot in a different way. And I liken that to like your life. So you're in charge of, well, you weren't in charge of the first couple of seasons, but now you are. And you can change characters. You can decide this person is no longer. You can add things, you can take it away. But think of your life as play. And if you don't feel like it, that's okay. But if you were in charge of your life, look at the characters around you, look at yourself, look at your environment, and think about what you would change, what you would add or take away. Because really, life is such a beautiful gift. And if someone else is still writing your book, it won't feel that way. It really won't feel like life is a wonderful thing. But when you start writing your book, when you're able to take back your life and just think it's just me, and it's me and what do I want to do, and asking yourself that question and really valuing what you do actually want to do, because you are the main character of your life. So write your own book. Take control of the things that you can control, which literally is just yourself. But if you're already here, then you are already showing that you do care about yourself and you do want to get better. And acknowledge that that is a really beautiful thing to do for yourself. And continue taking next steps. And what writing the book looks like is just, for me at least, it was figuring out how to write, which just meant getting to know myself. What do I like? What are my traumas? What would I like to get over? What would I like to release? What do I need to hold on to? What needs to develop? And look at your life as more of I don't want to say a game, but kind of, where there's so much involved in your life, and there's so many places that it can go. And if you're already here and you've already been through everything that you've been through, when you start at the bottom, your trajectory only goes up. So if you're here and you've already been through a lot of stuff, again, when you start at the bottom, the only way to go is up. And that's actually a really beautiful book as well. So when you start, if the book starts in the trash, but you happen to take it upwards and then you can wrap it up real nice, that's still a good book. When it does this, that's when it's confusing. But I'm going to invite you to think about your life as a book and ask yourself, am I writing the pages that I want to write? Is it the story that I want it to be? And if not, how can I make it the story that I want to live? Because it is your life. It is important. You are not responsible for the first couple of chapters, but if you're here, you are responsible for the rest. So what do you want your story to look like? How do you want it to end? Look around you. Give yourself permission to write. So that analogy was really helpful for me. I hope it made sense. And again, thank you for being here. Give yourself permission to want more, to hope for more for yourself, and then to put it in the pages of your book. Go get it. Write the chapters that you want. Trust that your character can change. Trust that you can take your life in a different way. You absolutely can. So I hope this was helpful. As always, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.